So can you start? I think everybody is here, right?
Right.
Yeah, although actually I sent a message that real-time webinar starts at 11 o'clock, but actually we don't have enough time in an hour. So I think it's better to get started right now. It's okay?
Sorry, to get what?
Uh, can you start right now?
Oh yeah, I don't know, Federico. Can we start right now?
Sure, we can start right now.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. Actually, I've downloaded your new report on my desktop. So before we start, I should tell you something about this real-time webinar, right? Yeah.
Right, you will share it.
Mm. So can you see my PowerPoint slide?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, we can see it.
Mhm. Okay. Welcome again for everybody. Yeah, this is real-time webinar. I mean, the first real-time webinar on country report. So yeah, as a guideline, I want to everybody to change your name, but I think I know you well, so you don't have to change your name, and I can listen to your voice very clearly. So okay, so this is title for this online training program. Okay, let me introduce the chairman and coordinator. This is Mr. Yang Gok Choi, the CEO of Gyok Partners, and he will be chairman for this real-time webinar. And yeah, say hello to each other. Okay, thank you. My name is Sophie, as you know well, and these are the details of real-time webinar. Okay, so yeah, before we start, I think it's better to have time for ice breaking for knowing each other better. So as a ice breaking, I want everybody to have self introduction and what the things that you expect from this training and what do you most want to do when you visit South Korea. Okay, so who's gonna be the first? Very good.
Hi, good morning, Sophia. Good morning, Chairman, Professor. My name is Federico Sosa. I am the Director of Attraction and Investment of REDIEX. I am very happy to have been selected to this course. We work with our team in attracting investments into Paraguay. We find industrial parks and technoparks to be key in attracting investments. I expect from this training to learn about the South Korean technopark model because we have several potential technoparks in place right now in Paraguay or future ones which could benefit from this training. Specifically, one in Alto Paraná from Itaipu, the Itaipu Technological Park. Apparently, there's one in Honenau, in Itapúa. There's one projected here near Asunción under the Digital Agenda Project on the NIC. And then we also have plans for one in Concepcion. So the lessons learned here will help us attract more investment and make sure these technoparks or innovation districts will actually be very successful. And what do you want to do when you visit South Korea? Would love to learn more about your culture, more about the country, visit Seoul, try a lot of kimchi, soju, and others.
Thank you.
So yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
Good morning. Actually, you should turn on your microphone. I cannot hear you. Okay, it's okay.
Good morning to all. I am Fernando Talavera. I work at Redies 2 with Federico. I am in charge of the aftercare department. I work with all those companies that are already installed in the country. What I hope in this course is to identify where we can install a technopark in the country and all the process that for it to be successful, as I saw in the video. If I go to Korea, when I visit Korea, I want to see 4 Technopark that fit our reality in Paraguay. And then I want to go to some traditional places in Korea, as the Gyeongwon Palace in Seoul, Daejeonjung Street of Seoul. It's very difficult for us, but I know with the training, we will do it. We will. And also, I heard about some stream at Seoul, and the Net Seoul Tower in Seoul also. So
Wow.
in Basan, Jagalchin is a fishing market.
Okay. Wow, very impressive and interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that you have so many places beautiful to see. You know, long time ago, I supposed to visit Korea. I couldn't because my sister got married, but and I lost it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Who would the next?
Maybe me.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Megan.
Good morning. I am Megan. Em, Tengo un inglés un poco limitado, entonces me gustaría pedirle al compañero Federico si puede hacer de traductor.
Okay,
Em,
so Megan is saying that she's very shy and that she has limited English, so she wants me to translate. If you don't mind, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I like the
Actualmente estoy en la dirección de parques industriales, así que para mí este curso es sumamente importante porque creo que podría proporcionarnos mayores y mejores herramientas también para poder perfeccionar nuestras habilidades.
Great. So Megan is the director of the Industrial Park Directorate. It's very important directorate that oversees industrial park policy in Paraguay. And she wants to learn tools to better implement best practices.
Como mencionó el compañero Federico en su presentación, actualmente estamos desarrollando, estamos haciendo esa transferencia que Corea de los años 60 a los años 90 hizo de la autoridad para desarrollar parques industriales del gobierno central al gobierno local.
So as colleague Federico mentioned, we are working with all these industrial parks to implement transition of policy and practices from the national government to the local government.
Eso es todo.
Megan, ¿y qué te gustaría hacer cuando te das Corea Sur? What would you like to do when you go to South Korea?
Bueno, y cuando estemos en Corea, obviamente poder visitar los parques que desarrollaron ellos, ¿verdad? Justamente con esa transferencia del gobierno central al gobierno local para el desarrollo de los establecimientos industriales.
So she says when she's in South Korea, she wants to visit the Technopark to learn from the experience of the transfer from the national to the local Technoparks. I'm interested in that too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Maria, I think it's your turn.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello to the people in Korea and also to my team here in Paraguay as well. Okay, my name is Maria Noelia Gonzalez. I usually use Maria because it's easier in other language. So I live in a city named Ciudad del Este. This is in the border between Brazil and Paraguay. I work as well as Federico, Fernando, Sebastián in the DX2. My city is a city that should grow and should be promoted. So when I heard about the KTP model, I didn't have much information about it. So I achieved a lot of information in this first lecture. So I'm happy. I'm happy for applying to this course. And I never went to Korea, so I'm excited about it. I believe that all the travel and also this course will be very, very important for me. And I hope the expectation from the member of the KTP team that we could reach this expectation as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So who's be the next? Any folks, could you please introduce yourself?
Uh, Good morning, Sophia. Good morning, Mr. Choi, or good evening. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. Um, I have had experience in industrial park since 1997. Initially, we have had Taiwanese investment, which brought to Paraguay a more modern model of industrial parks. Before 1997, we have had only one private park, which was mostly um, an investment for land renting, not thinking about all the many components that should include in an industrial park. And since 1997, I've had this opportunity of working in many initiatives from central government to private sector, and we are looking to establishing a Paraguayan model for industrial park, how to combine the different services from private sector, public sector. Um, I know Taiwan has in Korea invest a lot from public sector in industrial parks. In our case, we have limited resources, so the idea is to learn from Korea how we can manage our own technopark model. Um, I have enjoyed two lectures so far. I hope I can visit Korea and really share some sochu and some kimchi and some bulgogi with the lecturers and ask many more questions. In the inside visit, have a clear idea how this relationship from universities, startups, private sector, and government and regional government do come about in a technopark. So I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think Sebastian, I think it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity of doing this course. Good morning for everyone, my colleagues in Asunción. I am actually in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where I am commercial attaché. I represent the Ministry of Industry and Commerce here in Brazil, and my main function here is to support the exportation of goods and service of Paraguay to Brazil, and also attract for Brazilian direct investment in my case. ReadyX is committed to attract foreign direct investment. And in my case, I am in charge of the Brazilian cases. Uh, here in Sao Paulo, I was able to visit some technological parks in Campinas, linked to the Unicamp, the University of Campinas, that is very prestigious. Uh, I was not able yet to visit a Samsung structure they had in USP, University of Sao Paulo, to support the startups here in Brazil and also in Paraguay. This is one of the projects that were suspended by the pandemic situation, and but we were projecting to cooperate more closer to Samsung. here in Brazil. They have an interest in Paraguay, so we can learn from them too. And what I expect of this course is to learn the Korean experience in technological parks. I believe them in Paraguay, in line with what my colleague said. There are capability of structuring these technological parks, especially in Asunción, but not only in Asunción. There are also the Ciudad del Este region that has a lot of promise. And what I expect to visit Korea one day. I expect to be able to visit Korea one day, and I I like a lot the Asian culture in general, but I was not able to visit Korea yet. I was able to visit some places in Asia like Japan and Vietnam and Malaysia, but never in Korea. And I have a lot of Korean friends in the sense, Korean, Paraguayan Korean friends. You know that there were a lot of Korean immigrants in Paraguay, so a lot of my friends are Korean. So I enjoy very much the culture, especially the food, the bibimbap and all that. That's very so good. And well, I expect to eat very well too when I visit Korea. A part of visit technoparks and be in touch with the culture in general. Well, thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. I think it's some. Oh, you know what? It's the first webinar, and we finished webinar with Georgia, Algeria, Uruguay, of course, and this is the first webinar. But your self introduction is most impressive and really interesting. So I hope in your future, when Corona pandemic is over, I want to invite you all in to South Korea. Okay, and okay, so let's get started. Yeah. Federico, can you share your material on the desktop? Yeah, I think it's moved to the presentation and country report.
Would it be easier if you share it on my side or you share it on my side?
Oh, I can share you, but which will be better?
Okay, I think maybe on my side so I can manage the flow.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Let me do that. Give me 1 second. This will stop other people sharing. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay. Great. There. Okay. Let me put it all the way up. Right. Okay. Can everybody see it?
Yeah, I can see you very well.
Okay, great. Let me try to put us off in the presentation mode. Can you see it right now? Maybe this is better for everybody. Can you see it? Can everybody see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So welcome to our country report of our online training for our country course. These are our team members, Mr. Aníbal Jiménez Colac, Megan Cubas, myself, Mr. Sebastián Bogado, Ms. Noelia González, Mr. Fernando Talavera. We will go through a country overview, status of the economy and industry, issues of the industry. I will speak a little bit fast because we have a lot of material to cover. We only have 15 minutes. I hope this is okay. Paraguay, we are the heart of South America. We're located in the heart of South America. We have the size of California, official language Spanish and Guarani, religion mostly Catholic, diversity of the religions, gross national income per capita is $12,730. We're a high middle income source country. GDP per capita $5,514. A population of 7.5 million. Our response to the comments on the environment, we have a subtropical climate, not necessarily tropical because we have frost as well. The eastern region is the part of the country which is most populated. As you can see in our map here, this would be the eastern region. And the western region is the Chaco area, which is most arid. On the eastern region, we have more 800 rivers and streams. 95% of the land is arable. We have three climate types: the continental semi-tropical, the semi-tropical in the south, and also the one in the western part. Now, effects of climate change. We're starting to see the effects of climate change because of excessive droughts. The droughts bring forest fires. The droughts also affect our agriculture. That is why Paraguay is also trying to diversify its economy, so we're not that dependent on basic commodity exports. Chapter 2, status of the economy and industry. We have a GDP scale of $40 billion. Economic growth rates in the past years projected 2.73%, 4.7, and 0.1% in 2019. Total scale of imports and exports, 34% of the economy is dependent on that. Basically, our main export partners, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Russia, and Taiwan. Our employment rate, 94.2%. Our economic development goals, this is better for comprehension, right? 4% for 2019, 4% for 2020, 2.5% for 2021. Results were 0 to 0.2% for 2019. The latest figures today are 1.5% for October, and we expect a GDP growth of 5.5% in 2021. Main projects in the country which affect our Technopark planning: the Bioceanic Corridor, highway across the Chaco, which will unite the Atlantic to the Pacific Oceans. The second bridge with Brazil, the Paraná River. We have this big Omega Green project, which is an $800 million investment. And then, just for this report, please don't mention this anywhere else. We have this big cellulose project that's being built up in the north. This is the Paracel. It's not confirmed yet, but it will have an investment which is multiple times more than the Omega Green project. These are some of our slides. The main economic indicators, they were extracted from a country report. As you see, our GDP has been very positive in the last years, thanks to the macroeconomic stability. Our GDP composition is very diverse, but we're still dependent a lot on the agricultural sector. That is why we're trying to foment more exports related to industrialization. Energy has diminished in importance from 2003 to 2019. Manufacturers of agricultural origin have increased from 17 to 33%. And thanks to the Maquila regime, which all of our participant members here have helped promote, our Maquila exports have gone from 53 to 752 million. And our overall manufacturers of industrial origin have gone from 295 to 999 million. I don't know if you can hear me well. I'm just going to take my mask to make sure that I can hear me better. I'm also going to use these great microphones that you gave us as a gift. Thank you very much. These are some other graphs regarding the exports that we have, principal origins and destinations. Now we're getting to the specific parts, status of the economy and industry. We have a strong economy according to the World Bank, average growth rate of 4.5%. A lot of primary production, as we mentioned earlier, but we're still trying to diversify. So we're implementing major reforms, and we are trying to focus on these big industries, right? Auto parts, pharmaceutical, food and beverage, pharmaceutical, textile garments, wood processing, leather processing. I would say, and Aníbal Jimenez can correct me if I'm wrong, that Paraguay is on the industrialization path, just like South Korea was between the 1950s to 1970s. I understand the 1970s with the Chabols, there was a big investment in heavy industry, chemistry, shipbuilding. We're starting to get there, but we're starting to grow up the value chain, right? This is just an example of a specific analysis of different service sectors, electricity. Now, the status of the government policies, we promote development and investment in the manufacturing sector. We aim to add value to our agro-based raw material exports. And we also look to add more technology and value added to our industry. Many industries are small in size, 7 to 10 employees, and use basic technology. Most are based on very labor intensive and very few are technology intensive. Our brightest shining star right now is the auto part industry, which are supplying to Argentina, Brazil. And this is where we see there's a big opportunity because we understand there might be cooperation with South Korea to develop the auto parts industry. And this is where we can also work with CONACYT. Unfortunately, the CONACYT was being created just 23 years ago. We still haven't had the full impact about this. This is a new sector that we added. With CONACYT, we have approximately 2,000 investigators but yet they're very small as a proportion of the overall labor force and the population. The CONACYT also wants to investigate and focus on intermediate technology manufacturers, handcrafted products, and we're also investing heavily in education and investment, vocational training, basic education, tertiary education, and higher education opportunities. We have the BECAL program, which has sent more than 1,500 Paraguayan scholarship recipients, including to South Korea. They're bringing back technology, right? Now, on the vocational training side, we're specializing a lot on SINAFOCAL and SNMPP. We will actually have a lot of the trained mandos medios, as they call it, right? Technicians, carpenters, electricians, welders, which will form the basis of our incipient industrial revolution. Now, overall, the status of the trade of our industry, exports are 7.9 billion, imports are 12 billion. Our principal trading partners, Brazil, United States, Argentina, China, Chile, Uruguay, Germany, of course, South Korea, India, Panama, Mexico. Here's a list of all our exports specifically to our main destinations. We won't go too much in depth. Sophia, how are we good on time? We want to respect because we know it's very late in South Korea.
Oh, you mean the time of Korea right now?
No. How am I on time? Am I running out on time?
It's better. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can go on. You can go on.
Okay. Let me know if you need more. If you want us to make it more short. As I mentioned before, proportion of investment in research and development is less than 1% of GDP. Our labor force is very young and productive, but we still would need more emphasis and more researchers in R&D. We have detected some R&D carried out in university labs, think tanks, and private companies, and some R&D is being carried out in this PTI park, Parque Tecnológico Taipú and Itaipú. Small and medium enterprises, there are 2018, 916 enterprises, 96% of businesses. We have identified 78 startups, 1% of businesses. Many of these startups have been supported by NIC, or the MITIC, which is the Ministry of Technology and Communications. Some of our successful SMEs in the country are listed in the reports. Koga Impact Lab is one of the accelerators here. Some prominent startups are Topa and Possibility Tech. Possibility Tech is the one that sells Paraguayan software games. They sell through a Google platform, but a full list of startups can be found there. Now, corporate development in Paraguay, the majority of the companies are medium and small size, then 32% correspond to small and 19% to medium companies as well. Employment figures, we don't have complete employment figures, but according to economists and other authorities, since the majority of the companies in Paraguay are SMEs, the majority of employment is derivated from SME. We will get exact figures from the Paraguay Statistical Office, which didn't respond to us in time. That's why we couldn't include it in the report. Other major issues in the industry, and I asked my colleagues if they have any opinions, maybe we can please complement what I'm saying. Our additional trend is that we're driven by agriculture, but we are also having a incipient process of industrialization. We are heavily dependent on trade with neighboring countries like Brazil and Argentina. We're looking efforts to diversify our export and import markets. We have been successful. That is why, regardless of the Argentinian and Brazilian slump in the past years and the current depression during the pandemic, Paraguay hasn't been dragged by our neighbors, but we are not completely independent of them. So our additional outlook is that we expect our economic growth rate to drop this year. We expect a rebound next year. Our key industry status is that we're located in the heart of South America. We're an ideal location for industrial growth and development and for integration of supply chains. And our climate and land is very suitable for agriculture, but also for industries based on agriculture with added value, right? And in this section of the report, we go into specifically into different sections on construction, on IT and telecommunications. This is where we saw a lot of interest of South Korean companies, of South Korean suppliers, to work with Paraguayan telecommunications companies, state-owned companies, and MITIC. Now, we are heavily focused on major industrial policies such as large-scale construction projects, maquila and system manufacturing. What's interesting with the maquila is that here's where we really see a lot of formation of capital and transfer of technology, especially the auto parts sector, the plastics and the textiles, and other high-tech industries who are slowly coming to Paraguay. We've actually had inquiries from robotics manufacturers, had inquiries from artificial intelligence manufacturers, had inquiries from database manufacturers. And in fact, according to our colleagues, Nicolas Ossio from the Director of Intelligence and Strategic Intelligence, Paraguay is number one in the region for databases, considering our stable geology, our good political system, and a very low electricity costs. Maquila system, we would like to talk about this for a while. This is where any person who's resident in Paraguay can active use of Maquila. The capital input is free without a minimum or limit. You can import materials into Paraguay, convert them, add 40% of local cost Paraguayan materials. The other 60 can come from overseas, from Korea or from other countries, and then sell it as 100% made in Paraguay good. This is allowed according to Mercosur and Paraguayan laws. But this is where we would need to talk to the potential investors to see on a case-per-case basis whether they would apply. Now, as of June 2017, exports of automotive parts accounted for about 40% of total exports on the Maquila. And we've had seen drops of them automotive exports in the past years, especially now during the pandemic. But we also see it as an opportunity because the Maquila sector, especially the auto parts sectors here, some of them which are South Korean companies, could see this an opportunity to go up in the value scale and start doing other products under the Maquila system. Now, issues related to development of industry, high cost and low quality of energy. Sometimes there's a perception that energy is high here. For industrial uses, it's very cheap, but sometimes the transmission of energy is a big challenge. Sometimes we have poor logistics infrastructure. We need to improve the labor force technical skills, lack of soft loans, quality certification bodies are needed. We've had this effort working with Anibal and colleagues of our Vice Minister of Industry to build the first Paraguayan respirators during the COVID-19 pandemic, but we've had issues about certification of these. Issues related to support for SMEs are sometimes difficult access to soft credit lines, high barriers to formalize and create legal entities, even though now we will inaugurate on November 11th what's called the simplified process to open companies. Low productivity of workers and managers, that's also being addressed by training and education programs. And then lack of market size and lack of access to international markets. That's where we can actually work with Technoparks really well. Lack of experience with digital channels and tools. Many of these challenges are addressed by specific programs led by Vice Ministry SMEs and the MITIC with IDB programs. And also, we also have very interesting initiatives by the National Strategy of Innovation, which is led by the presidency, which I addressed a link there. Now, processing solutions for our industry, we will design and develop public policies focused on land use planning, efficient distribution of electricity. Now, for SMEs, we're also focusing on specific programs. We have a list of these programs that we will share later on. But basically, I think with the Technopark, we can actually start working with SMEs to bring them together on specific parts for specific purposes and really take advantage of these network effects, right? Now, these are some of the programs that we have right now to support SMEs. Many of them are within the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Some of them are within the MITIC. Some of them are with other agencies. Many of them are financed by IDB. Some of them, these projects are finished. Some of them are new. We understand there are 3 South Korean initiatives that are starting to come online. Some of these initiatives are also financed by the European Union. But overall, there's a very big focus on SMEs. And that's what I think has allowed Paraguay to withstand the pandemic and in a very interesting and proper fashion, because the resiliency of the SMEs and the programs that are being developed right now allows Paraguay to have the economic and the labor flexibility needed to address future challenges and to adopt innovative models. Now, I also want to share the floor with my colleagues, with Noelia. Maybe she has a perspective from Alto Paraná, or Sebastian, who's also helping us promote SMEs and international companies through our commercial aggregate office in Sao Paulo. Our chief expert in industrial policy, Aníbal Jiménez, who helped draft a lot of this report, and we're also thankful to all the members who drafted this report. Fernando might have a perspective in aftercare, and Megan on industrial parks. I cited all. I know all my team has worked countless hours drafting this report. I would like to thank all of them. I'd like to thank Koika for this opportunity to share this report. and to allow us to participate in this course. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. Okay, let's move to the feedback. Yeah, Mr. Choi will give you very helpful feedback. Yeah, can we start?
Hi, I am glad to be here with you for sharing our knowledge was too for developing your country. Um, Even though a long story, but we are satisfied with your report because you are well comparatively written for this course. Uh, I think the most important of uh, establishment the Korean model to your country uh, is the precondition for setting specified your country that the condition is a variable or uh, uh, diversified uh, uh, the the remarkable point yeah, from your report show that the major industry policy is mainly concentrated on infrastructure, such as a road, housing, and any other major industry policy for a heavy manufacturing, yeah, excluding automobile parts. Yeah.
Mr. Choi, thank you. I have the following comment. Our industrial policy basically is based on 1990s model. After democracy came into Paraguay, we established this promotion of industrial development. It is basically based on tax reduction or tax holidays for companies. It does not discriminate foreign investment or national investment, and is horizontal promotion for investment. Although in the presentation maybe you got the idea is mainly for construction, we have many foreign companies and local investment in the food processing mainly area, which is our strongest sector. The pandemic has shown us that it was a good result to invest in this sector. 85% of our industrial sector did not stop during the pandemic because it was mainly food processing and logistics sector. Also in the garment textile, we are have a very strong participation, all which is based on cotton raw material. The leather processing industry also is very basic, but also in the manufacturing sector, we have participation due to the fact that we produce beef and cattle. So it's very linked to the leather sector. And as I mentioned in our report, the industry is basically a small size companies. Our average size is 16 employees. So it's a small industry. We aim at producing future policies to enhance small industries growth. Even though this is our trend in the 2013 2012, we have received investment from the automobile sector, which is was unusual, but it is what we look at a trend that will stay in Paraguay for the next 10 or 15 years, due to the fact that the Brazil has um, uh, terminal for automobile sector. Also Argentina and Paraguay becomes a strong partner for low cost production of auto parts. So the government has also aimed at a promotion of auto parts production in the most recent years. We have investment from Korea, from Japan, Germany, companies, and every year we are seeing more companies in other sectors, but always within the automobile auto parts sector. Due to this condition, we have requested Korea cooperation, and we are ongoing with 3 corporations from Korea for the strengthening of the automobile policy, the automobile small companies assistance, and the building of a automobile quality certification center. These 3 projects are currently approved. One of them is already being implemented. And we see Paraguay as a center of production, not only of auto parts, but also other products which are mainly assembled, like cell phones, computers. We are mainly in the condition of a labor-intensive country. We provide good conditions, labor conditions, low taxes, and simplify investment conditions. We are not yet thinking or looking at a very knowledge-based society or sector, but we think that based on what I've seen on Technopark's experience, we can look forward to a knowledge sharing and knowledge-based space which these Technoparks provide for the future SMEs. Thank you.
Yeah. I think there are 3 kinds of sector for establishing a successful Technopark model to your country. Yeah. One is for industry. Yeah. Second is for enterprise, including small and medium-sized enterprise, including startups. Lastly, the third is for a region, is our space, land. Then on your industry structure, do you have any a strategic industry that focused on the core area, including your country, that can be drawn on the region's strengths or priority? Any strategic industries to your country or region?
I'm sorry, I did not get the question. You mean region, prioritized region?
Regional strategy, yeah, focus the industry for a specified area, yeah, foothold area.
We have had in the past assistance from Japan, from JICA. JICA has done some research in the past which established that Paraguay has 5 economic regions, 5 different regions which produce and interact with different markets and has different conditions. Some are more developed for industry, some are more least developed for industries. Under this analysis, we did some research with JICA a few years ago to analyze what they call economic special zones. And they have established 1 or 2 regions which might provide better conditions. They're mostly located in the nearby region of Brazil and Paraguay, or Argentina and Paraguay. We have seen also that, as I see in some of the lectures, Paraguay's industrial activity mainly are in 2 regions, one in the capital city and surrounding Asunción, and the other is border with Alto Paraná, Ciudad del Este in Brazil. So we have 2 basic large production centers, which aim one at domestic market and the other for export market. But we in the future are looking at establishing 1 or 2 special zones or economic zones or industrial parks that could include and bring together all the different services. Today, we do have some industrial parks, but they are not connected with research, university, SMEs. The land cost of Paraguay, unlike Korea, is still very cheap. So companies choose to build outside industrial parks. So we need, as government, to establish better conditions within a technopark or industrial park, providing low costs for tenants and services in relationship with research and markets and consumers to have a positive model of a technopark to later on establish in different areas as a regional economic development strategy.
As you may know, we Korea are trying to do best to overcome against the Japanese trading battle. Yeah. So we emphasize the two industrial value chain, which are composed of material, parts, and products. Then, do you have any plan or developing for automobile material and products, excluding automobile parts?
Mis colegas, si me quieren también apoyar cualquier cosa, piden la palabra. Regarding the automobile sector, Mr. Choi, in Paraguay established in early 2000 a special law to promote automobile assembly plants. That back in those years, government thought that only a good law and tax cuts were enough to attract big companies to establish production plants. The results were that these companies came, looked at Paraguay's condition, but they found no suppliers. So they say we need suppliers, and suppliers are far away. They are mostly in Brazil or in Asia. So local businessmen took opportunity of this situation and established a motorcycle production lines. So this is our local investment or investment. This was the first step of Paraguay into the automobile sector. These same companies have moved on, some of them to assembling vehicles, light vehicles and light trucks. Most or all of them are from China-based CKDs. But we are also lacking there the component of quality control. So these vehicles can be sold within the domestic market, but in the long term, as in the motorcycles, we are seeing a limit to domestic market, and we should look to exporting. The problem is that we have not done the homeworks for the certification of these motorcycles that the foreign markets are not able to receive or have a certification of quality. So one of the topics that we are working with Korea is the certification of these auto parts or vehicles. But in the short term, we don't expect these local companies alone to produce with high standards of vehicles to export to regional markets. Maybe it would come from joint ventures from foreign companies which look at models being produced in Brazil or Argentina, which the costs have become too high to become competitive or to remain competitive, and they will maybe shift some of the basic production to Paraguay.
I would also like to add to what complimented Aníbal, Professor, and Sophia that Paraguay is like a rough diamond right now in certain sectors. We have this great opportunity thanks to this uh, automobile parts agreement with Brazil and Argentina that was signed during this administration in the past months, which Anibal and many of my colleagues have negotiated with Brazil and Argentina. It's specific to export electric buses and electric cars to Brazil. And my colleague Sebastian could talk about all the conversations he's had with Brazilian auto parts producers on this front. Why is it such an important opportunity? Because if we have South Korean or other Asian companies investing in a factory here in Paraguay to build electric buses, the potential export opportunity is up to $300 million, considering the average cost of a bus is like $300,000. And there's like a potential to export 10,000 units to Brazil. So a Technopark focused on automobile parts with the support of South Korea's experience, with the support of South Korean cooperation, would do a great service to both Paraguay and South Korea and the region, especially some of Technopark located in the Alto Paraná region, where Noelia is located, where she supports a lot of investment and export projects. So I understand there's a worldwide competition for standards regarding electric buses. And the big cost of electric buses is the lithium batteries and the electric batteries that they have. As you know, Paraguay is strategically located and has good access to lithium resources from Bolivia, from Chile, from Argentina. There's also rumors, some information that there might be lithium reserves in the bottom of the Chaco. That has to be confirmed yet. So we have had interest from foreign companies to develop lithium batteries and to develop electric and buses and cars here in Paraguay. So I really think this is a great opportunity that this course is happening, because with your assistance and the assistance of other South Korean government agencies, we can probably jumpstart, as they usually say, this industry, and this would be benefit for us all, especially South Korean car manufacturers who want to be on the forefront of the electric car revolution worldwide. In fact, South Korean cars are the most widely sold cars here in Paraguay, Hyundai and Kia. So this will be a great market to produce electric cars with electric batteries, and also do R&D and hydrogen and mobility. We have a national hydrogen strategy where we want to use hydrogen as a fuel for to replace diesel trucks, and also as a fuel for electric barges run on hydrogen as well. So these are very interesting opportunities, but we need a little bit more support in these areas, and maybe having a specific policy. We've discussed this extensively with Anibal and other colleagues, and this is our vision of the future, basically.
As already informed to you by others lecture, maybe Mr. Go or Mr. Lee, there are 19 technopark in Korea for developing various industries, which are composed of automobile, cement building, and semiconductor, and bioscience industry. Then I am suggesting at the moment that the suitable technopark for not visiting, because it's not, we cannot visit each other for a common concern. So the second best policy, or the second best method for exchanging the common concern is to contact with online, including email. So I think the suitable technopark in Korea recommended to you Chungnam Technopark, Chungnam. Yeah. For your reference, there are 17 local governments in Korea. One of them is Chungnam and Gyeongbu. Yeah. So a suitable technopark for a common concern. Yeah. Chungnam Technopark or Gyeongbu Technopark, because the local governments emphasized on the similar industry, yeah, including automobile, material, parts, and products. So if you want to contact with them, yeah, KTPA will be introduced to the concerned people, yeah, for promoting our common concern. Okay, 충남 and Gyeongbu. Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the second point is for industry, mainly small and medium-sized enterprise, including startups. The most important thing for enterprise side is to connect with big and small company. Is there any program or steps between big and small or a medium-sized company for getting the common interest?
Sorry, sir, Professor, can you please repeat the question again?
Is important for us to develop the major industry, including automobile or cement building, any other core industry, to connect with big company and small and medium-sized company. Yeah, in Korea, the big company is including Samsung, LG, Hyundai. Small and medium company is many various industry sector. Then, so do you have any plan or program to connect with big or small, medium-sized company for promoting the connected and concerned industry?
Mr. Choi, one of the ongoing projects from Korean assistance regarding local small business suppliers for the automobile supply chain includes this relationship with one big Korean company, THN, which produce wires for harness for vehicles for Kia and Hyundai, and they are working to develop domestic suppliers, plastic company, rubber, and other companies that can become in the short period suppliers for this big company with the standards that it requires. This cooperation is just 1 year old, and we expect at least 2 more years of assistance. We have a cooperation from KATEC, Korean Technological Institute. They are providing the experts for the soldering, cutting, molding different parts, so these small companies can become future suppliers of larger companies. Besides that, there are initiatives very specific, but there's not like a governmental policy to establish better conditions to establish this relationship between large firms and small and medium firms. This relationship is more easily done within an industrial park or within a technopark in the case that we don't have one of these examples. We have some industrial parks which have some large companies, but there's no networking, there's no collaboration with SMEs as small suppliers yet. We look in the future that we can establish policies that this relationship can become more active.
Something that I want to say about it. This is here in Rediex, we're working with a program, and we want to improve and to reinforce the capability of the enterprises here locally, speaking like, for example, in my case, Alto Paraná, on those services that we are we are promoting it are or going to certification, qualification, improve of the capability of the people who works in those factories, because that is very necessary to create this environment for the coming of other enterprises to establish their factories here. Yeah, and this is something that started this year and it's going till 3 more years. Yeah, 2023.
No.
That said, Professor, about connecting the big companies to small companies, I completely agree with Anibal and Noelia. Although we've had some efforts, informal efforts. For example, this respirator project, we've tried to bring the big companies, small companies together. For exports, we've tried to have big exporting companies sub hire from smaller companies. But yes, we could do a better job of substituting imports that big companies buy to export from local suppliers. And that's really where we could do a lot more progress with the auto parts industry. Make sure that all the components of the auto parts are made locally in the sectors where we are very competitive.
Is there any strong university to connect with the big and small and medium sized enterprise for promoting the concerned industry? Are there any strong or compatible university for promoting the concerned industry for helping of big and small and medium-sized enterprise?
We have the Taiwanese University right now, I understand, colleagues, where there's a lot of engineering classes being taught. But I don't know, Anibal or Sebastian, whether you know there's a specific vocational or university for car parts, or there's plans to do so.
Thank you, Federico. I can mention also this German university that was established in some 5 or 7 years ago, maybe, in collaboration with the Industrial Union of Paraguay, the main entity that agglutinates the industry sector. And it's a cooperation with the German University of Hamburg. I don't know. I don't remember very well which university is involved, but it's the first double diploma in Paraguay, valid in the European Union and also in Paraguay. And it's about technical engineering and, well, all the courses aim to develop industrial capacity. And I can mention also some programs of like support SME and in the national university through laboratories of like incubadora. ¿Cómo se dice incubadora en inglés?
Incubator.
Incubator, like company incubators that were functioning. Gracias, Noelia. That were functioning in national university. I cannot say actually which are the activities by today, by now, but they were functioning very well some time ago when I was living.
Additionally, are there any collaboration program with overseas university, including Korea and any other country, overseas university?
Overseas university?
Overseas university.
Overseas universities, yes. Well, there are some American researchers doing some work with the Itaipu questions, the Itaipu issues, but I don't know if there is a government-related cooperation with overseas universities. What there is some overseas universities activities that are done in Paraguay because Paraguay is their subject of investigation. So they go to Paraguay. Uh, I am specifically mentioned the University of Pennsylvania that is doing some research on Paraguay. Uh, Also in Texas, there are a lot of studies of Paraguay. Uh, but again, I'm not mentioning that is a government-related cooperation between these universities. It's more the activities of these universities that are studying Paraguay.
Yeah, for the
Well,
matter,
and just to mention one more in the activities here in Brazil, especially in the south, Paraná, with its border with Brazil, their universities in general, I can mention like all of them. They are very interested in study more in depth about Paraguay and the economic aspect of our integration. Uh, we as Paraguayan with they as Paranaenses, the Brazilians that live in Paraná. So they are these Brazilian universities are seeing Paraguay right now with more attention, more than some years ago.
yeah, for the matter, I am suggesting that you more emphasized on the overseas university, yeah, uh, with um, the concerned industry, yeah, with your small and medium-sized company, including Korean university. Yeah, so it's very important for you to develop your major industry. Yeah, um, because, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, yeah, it's very important for us to develop our major industry. Yeah, so I'd like to recommend to contact with overseas university, including Korea.
Thank you.
And a third issue is called space or land. Yeah. Fortunately, you are operating the industrial park. So um, I think the industrial park is evolving to Technopark. Then you have very strong point for promoting or developing the Korean Technopark model. Yeah. So even though you cannot visit yeah, Korean yeah, in this year, uh, please survey and analysis for analyze yeah for that point. So um, for for using yeah your industrial park, then you analyze the industrial park in advance, yeah, with connect with any other yeah, partner. Okay.
Okay, Federico, you have something to say?
Yes, I just wanted to say really quickly that I think we can have a lot of really interesting cooperation programs that result from this. Maybe you can hear me better right now. Sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
much better.
Specifically with our colleague Jose King, who is the manager of the automobile export platform, and our national director Mario Romero, who we have to brief on this conversation. Mr. Mario Romero has good contacts with BECAL, which is the Ministry of Finance international scholarship program for Paraguayans who are studying abroad. It may be BECAL, which is for masters PhDs, and advanced degrees could be a good platform to work on maybe a vocational training, international exchange, where we could, maybe with the support of Korean, Japanese, and international auto part companies in Alto Paraná, send Paraguayan technical personnel to be trained in Korea in these technoparks or automobile R&D centers to improve their technical capacity and then come back to improve on on the automobile supply chain. And that could be something that could be explored. Now we have to check with all the relevant parties. But yes, we do have programs in cooperation with overseas university. Mostly of them are for PhD, masters, and other programs. Now, if we need to focus on training Paraguayan engineers on specific skills for industrial development in R&D and auto parts, maybe that could be worked with Becal, so we have specialized personnel in that area. Why am I mentioning this? Because I know that through Becal, there have been scholarships in Japan and in South Korea for Paraguayan astronomers and astrophysicists who want to work in the Paraguayan Space Agency. And in fact, Paraguay's first satellite was developed thanks to Paraguayan scholarship recipients who were studying in Japan. Something like that can be done, and I think there will be a lot of interest from other countries like the United States and Taiwan to cooperate on this issue because there's a lot of import substitution that we can do, and I think a lot of the value chains of your country and other countries could be benefited if they have more geographic diversity and if they choose Paraguay as your industrial base. Um, the costs are very competitive. It's very stable country, and I think you would be very interested in considering our country for such a project.
And this is the last comment for you. I think you should consider to adapt and develop for improving or developing your main industry for specified evolution based on your country or region's characteristics. So you should not make a replica for establishing a Technopark model, yeah, like Korean model, because the Korean Technopark model is only for your reference. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Choi, thank you for your comment. I completely agree. This pandemic has made us analyze which are the strong points in the industrial sector of Paraguay and how this condition has protected us in certain way. Paraguay's economy will not be so negative as other countries which depend on large on services or other sectors. This has made us analyze where should we strengthen our future industrial development. And mainly we are seeing that as raw materials or commodities producing country, we should emphasize on increasing the value added of the food value added chain mostly, bring more investment in that sector, bring certification bodies also to guarantee quality of food safety, and also at another level, participate on the value added chain of not only automobiles, but also we are seeing shiftment of um, um, house appliances and other goods that will shift manufacturing plants probably from Asia to the region. And since Paraguay has a strong labor force, young labor force, low cost of labor force, um, we are thinking on taking example of Korea's TPs and seeing how within our own reality and condition establish a strategy and especially link the SMEs with large companies and universities. You asked before, universities, our national universities are the strongest related to um, period of years of training and professional um, people, but also with budget. National University also have budgets, and they have established recently research centers. These research centers are equipped with tools and machinery, but they are not linked to local SMEs or local industries needs. So they provide services as an investigation scope, not as a business. During the pandemic, some of these research centers have provided these protection masks that they manufacture from 3D printing. But we offered this research center to contact local companies which would continue buying them after pandemic situation, or produce prototypes of other products, and they do not have the vision of business also, or they don't have a vision yet of how they can become partner of local industry. So one of the tasks we have to do is to connect local industries, big and small, to these research institute or national universities. But it is a good suggestion that I took note to contact Korean universities to also get their experience.
Do you recommend the most strong local or region for promoting the industrial competitiveness between your country and Korea? Do you recommend the most strong strengths or region?
I have seen, I have over 25 years of working in government, and I've seen many shift of different groups of investment from Brazil, mainly most traditional investor. Then in the 2000s, we had investment from Japan and some trends. But in the most recent years, I've seen a large connection with Korean companies and Korean corporations. So I believe that Korea is also seen or looking for partners in the region. I'm sure Korean companies have established analysis on cost production between Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, and I think that we are in the scope of Korean companies to establish a certain production center or distribution centers. And in the more recent years, Paraguay has done a additional job on um, opening up new investment markets and sales market under these Mercosur agreements or under bilateral agreement. We are on the ongoing negotiation with Korea with the Mercosur agreement, which will provide better conditions for Korean companies to establish locally. And we are also sensing that Korean automobile or auto parts company are looking more into Paraguay, because we sense that the Korean vehicles or vehicles market in the world is very strong, and they still have low presence probably in Brazil. My colleague Sebastian can correct me. In Paraguay, they're number one already, Kia and Hyundai. And I know that they are already producing some models of Korean cars in Brazil. So they are looking for Paraguay as a partner for suppliers in that value added chain, I believe.
Yes, if I can mention something too, I also just want to highlight the automobile agreement that we reached with Brazil uh, this year, and that this is a juridical base that it's make this Paraguayan case stronger for develop its own auto parts industry and automobile industry. We signed these automobile agreements with Brazil and with Argentina. We internalize them into our own laws, and well, we hope that this is if we were able to attract some foreign companies, German, Japanese, some Koreans too, without any agreement with Brazil and with Argentina, even though these production were directed with these countries. Now that we do have these agreements, we believe that this will be a new force for us to attract, and will be more attractive to the Korean companies and to Asian companies, foreign companies in general. So just to highlight this, okay, and also to highlight what I mentioned earlier, the contact that Samsung company made here with us at the consulate of Paraguay to strengthen our player relations with the government to address issues of common interest, uh, such as protection of intellectual property, or develop some activities to support SME, especially technology bases, with the young entrepreneur that we do have here in São Paulo, the activity of Samsung, along with in cooperation with the University of São Paulo. Now we believe that we can build something on 2021 with them. I know well this is maybe the largest Korean company in the world, Samsung, like ambassadors of the Korean brand. So okay, this all makes sense. This course and all this movement of Korean companies and all this automobile sector happening. So well, I'll celebrate all that along with what my colleague Anibal just said.
Okay, fellows, thank you so much, and thank you so much for your comment, Mr. Choi. Yeah, it was a good time for, and yeah, I could feel your enthusiasm during your seminar in this moment. Okay, yeah, next Thursday we have second real-time webinar. For the second webinar, you have to submit your action plan until 2nd November, and on the day, I mean the second webinar with you have seminar with Uruguay at the time. So please remember that you have to submit your action plan until 2nd November. Okay. Thank you so much. And if you have more questions, you can leave your questions on Google Classroom. And after you, leaving your question, I can collect it and I will forward to the lecturers. Okay. Thank you again. And yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Very good.